Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Averill Park Central School District Board of Education meeting on this Monday, June 12th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move right into our superintendent's report.
I was hoping you were going to stall for a second. All right. So, all right. Thank you. Welcome to all of our guests and the board. Short report. I just wanted to kind of talk about a few things. First of all, there is a bill out there regarding lockdown reduction legislation. You can see kind of in that first paragraph, we wrote a letter expressing our concern with it. It's in the Senate and the Assembly, and really it aims to decrease the frequency of lockdowns in schools and then permits folks to opt their children out of them. This is something that is very concerning to the superintendents throughout the state. This lengthy letter was written before us by BOCES and was signed on by all the superintendents in the BOCES. I don't have an update as to where that bill is right now, as of last week, but it is a little concerning. We do take the lockdown drills seriously. We do practice them. We do them in a way that is non-threatening, we believe. We try to minimize stress and anxiety, but we do believe there's an importance to doing it because of the benefit it has to all of the people, adults and students in the building, in terms of being prepared for these type of situations. And it's not, as the letter says, it's not always the things that you might think of, right? There's natural disasters, there's man-made events, there's all sorts of things that we are practicing during that time. So just wanted to bring your attention to that, to some of the advocacy work that we're doing there. Second thing that we're kind of dealing with is the delinquent account balance. You can see there, we're running about $15,000 in a debit, or debit credit. So the state passed a few years ago that anti-shaming legislation. One of the unintended consequences of that is that we saw an increase in debt. It kind of went away during COVID because the federal government covered all the outstanding balance. So you can see kind of in the second paragraph, we do send out reminders. The response has been minimal, to be honest. We're changing the letters and how we're doing them and trying to work through some things with Carrie and her office. But as you can see, the only other recourse we really have is if we begin taking families to small claims court. And I don't think that's something that we want to engage in as a district. So trying to be creative about how we deal with that and how we work through that. But we wanted to make the board aware of it. As the last paragraph talks about, we cannot carry student debt. So the outstanding balance has also become a general fund obligation, which we just came off of a budget cycle, and you know where we stand financially. So it is important. And finally, you may have heard about some universal free meals in the state budget. We did not qualify. All right, that's what that last line is. It gives you a link to the community eligibility provision, but we do not qualify for that. They did it. There's various ways they could have done it. They did it in a way that didn't benefit us, right? They could have raised the threshold. There's some things that could happen. What they did is they had districts, you're either fully in or fully out based on percentages. We don't qualify is the short version of that. So thought we'd leave you with a little more positive news than that. We're excited to inform the board that the Questar is going to be offering a new CTE welding course at Hudson Valley next year. Heath, who I told him he had to stand next to me when I read this, and oh my gosh, like Heath is right here, is already began a process putting together a plan to educate our students and their families about that. We know there is a need for that, right? We have certainly developed a lot of devoted a lot of resources to our CTE programs. You know that we have the programs in-house. We send a lot of students to Questar as well, and it's something we believe strongly in. This is something that we know is a field where there is a lack of candidates and applicants for jobs. So we're very excited about that opportunity. And then we'll move into this week's video. Maybe Sarah can hit the lights for me. So thank you, Sarah. I would again like to thank Brian Radovich who puts that together for us each meeting. And I was jokingly, I think we said this might be the longest of the videos. So a lot of really great happening. We thank our faculty and our staff and administration for all the wonderful things happening at the end of this year. And with that, Jesse concludes the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. That was a wonderful celebration of success. It was just an active demonstration why Averill Park is a world-class school. Now, it is completely my pleasure that I'm going to ask for a motion to approve appointment, 5 instructional appointments tonight for Tricia Bradley, Chelsea Fawcett, Krista Loki, Crystal Murray, and Kelsey Ryan for 10-year instructional appointment, as well as an administrative 10-year appointment for Rebecca Leach. Sam makes a motion and seconds. Any discussion? Do you folks have any discussion?
No, I just want to thank and congratulate all of our tenure candidates. We have an exceptional group, and we're very proud to present them to you.
Yes, and I'm very pleased that we're able to do this. There was a stint of time earlier on in my board career where we weren't because we had so many cuts. And this is just like tonight is one of the best parts of being on the board. Having the retirement celebration and then approving tenure. So congratulations to all. So anybody else have any discussion? We
Just a big congratulations.
Yeah. All right, we'll call it to a vote. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We will now take a break from the meeting for about 20 minutes so everyone can go in the cafeteria and celebrate.
We're going to start right away with a little celebration, and then we have cupcakes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Thank you. No, we
Oh, no.
We're gonna.
The switch on?
Is that on? Or is that on?
That's on.
That's on. Okay. I couldn't remember. Are you folks, are you I just wanted to ask you.
Are you ready?
Are you?
I'm gonna jump in first, if that's
You
all right.
go.
All right. So, if you remember, the board members last year, we heard 3 amazing presentations from our art, science, and social emotional learning teams. That's the first year that we kind of completed our big year of curriculum renewal, which is a multi-year process that we have started to try to culturalize a little bit in the district to allow teams of teachers to come together to really determine themselves what they think are big, lofty goals within their content area, things that need attention, things that they might want to change, things that they're doing really well, and they want to make sure other people know about. It's an opportunity for them to learn about a content area and explore, and then by the end of this first year, come up with some direction. Where do they want to go with us as a district? They're a small sample of a much larger engine, but we're just thrilled to have, you can see the members of the team, I'll let them introduce themselves. Typically, we do have 2 content areas each year. Last year we had 3, this year we have 1. We had planned to also do physical education and health, but when you hire 3 new PE teachers and 1 new health teacher, it makes renewing existing curriculum a little bit more of a challenge. So we put a pause on that. But the good news, bad news for the board, good news for the team is we gave them twice the amount of time to present tonight so that they can take PE health. So I will turn things over to the team.
Talk away.
Okay, you tell me to do it, and then they're like, "Da-da-da-da-da," in my ear. Is it all set? Is it all set?
What's up?
Okay, cool. Well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Carrie Lajeunesse, and I teach 5th grade at West End Lake.
I'm Christy DeMerchant. I teach 2nd grade at West End Lake.
I'm Naomi Colton, and I teach 7th grade at Algonquin.
I'm Shannon Burns, and I do special education at Posted Hill.
I'm Tara Victor. I teach 7th grade at Algonquin.
And I'm Lisa Yeshka, and I teach 5th grade at Miller Hill.
Now you got, that's only part of the team, not all of us are here. We are very lucky to have the opportunity to participate in math renewal this year. Many of us are very passionate about math. If you talk to me, I'm usually talking about math, but the team is made up of K through 12 teachers, all working together on a common goal to look at our current math teaching practices and identify our strengths as well as any weaknesses in our program. To begin with, each level worked together to identify our goals of the renewal process. Our overarching goal was to ensure our students had the skills necessary to be college and career ready. But you'll notice that we have that overall K through 12 goal, but then the K through 5 really focused in on things that we need to focus on, that base 10 understanding, number sense, and problem solving to support the 6th through 8 and K through 12 teams. In order to look at what math practices Averill Park utilized, we gathered information from the various levels of teachers on the team, from all teachers who taught math in the district. We also talked with other schools in the area. We spoke, and there was also teachers that went to the NCTM conference in Baltimore. We then looked at each math standard and followed it along the grade levels. With this work, we're able to see how one standard at one grade level leads into the following years. This work will be an integral resource when ALTs begin the work of identifying essential standards of math, and teachers will see the coherence between standards and grade levels. It is a pretty amazing document. If I were to click on it, you would see the lines that connect from kindergarten all the way through. It was a pretty amazing document that people worked on. Next to me over here. After discussions and gathering information, we learned that one area we could improve is using common math vocabulary and common definitions across grade levels. This helps with consistency, and common language is our first step. So we're making a grade level math vocabulary terms, but ensuring that the same words are used across grade levels. So we're not teaching little nuances each year. One other area we found needed support was having consistent models for math instruction. This will help with coherence of skills that build on each other at each grade level. Let's see. We have a very dedicated team that wants to improve the math teaching and learning of all students at Averill Park. We developed many next steps in the math renewal process. We pared down our original list to start with these 6 areas. We want to continue ensuring we are vertically aligned with continued math conversation within the K through 12 teachers. We want to provide quality professional development to all teachers that teach math to ensure we are learning and applying current research-based practices. And our main goal is vertical alignment, common problem-solving approaches, teaching number sense strategies, and math vocabulary. And this is our team. That's all I got for you. So if you have any questions, I have a team that will answer them. Any questions or concerns?
No concerns.
Oh, good, that's good news.
Well, for me, I don't know about the rest of them, but I just want to say, it sounds like you guys had a fun time doing this too, as well as, I mean, the hard work of actually digging into it, but you guys are all up there smiling, so that's a wonderful.
We really like
thing.
We really like that.
We like that.
And each other.
And each other.
And that's excellent. And obviously, because you had a good team, good results. So thank you for all the work.
I just have a couple cool questions. I love math too, and all three of my kids do, so I get it. But I can't remember what manipulatives are. What are manipulatives?
Anything that children can get their hands on to work through their math problems and their thinking. So it could be counters, it could be dice.
Yeah, if you look here, we've got
blocks.
some bowling pins, but there's probably something about numbers there that they're counting. Here, they're counting puffballs.
Okay.
There's no, we do a lot with, I use cards in my class a lot. These are red and yellow tiles. We use those all the way up. I know Kara uses them in 7th grade and they use them all the way down in kindergarten, so.
We have some integer cards that we play a card game with. Anything they can put their hands on.
Base
to
10
connect.
blocks.
Some volume.
Fraction
Like
tiles.
when you do the 100 days and you have your groups of 10.
Yep, that kind of thing, yep.
So the second question I had, and I understand and appreciate the vocabulary, the math vocabulary for the vertical learning. But what about, I just wonder, obviously there are more terms and definitions for something that means the same thing. Would it or could it be confusing for children if, they learn it this one way for 13 years and then they get to college or something and it's called something different? Do you, integrate those other terms that it might be called, or?
I think that's not the problem. I think the problem is that we all do our own kind of thing and we want to just make sure everybody's doing the right thing. And New York State has a list of vocabulary with definitions that are the ones that we should all be using. So we just want to make sure everybody's doing that. Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But also
Yeah.
having a strong starting block, a strong foundation, as the children get older and can process and handle more branches of the vocabulary.
Mhm.
We're not gonna pigeonhole them into one
Right,
vocabulary
they're
word.
they're deeper as they get more able to
It's
take
just a
them.
matter of certain trigger words, so that we're not reteaching the vocabulary each year and we can focus more on the concepts.
And that seems to be a common theme through all of these renewal programs, is where one of the struggles seems to have been that as the children move through the grades, that the teachers were kind of reteaching to their method and their vocabulary and, kind of taking a half a step back before they could step forward. So I really see the value in that, in the vertical alignment that you talked about.
Yeah, we waste a lot of time doing that. Same with the modeling. If we could all use the same model in the same way, and one person calls it a tape diagram, and one person calls it a bar model, and one person calls it this, it's all the same thing. If we could use the same terminology and just build on it each year, it'd be a lot easier for everybody.
That's great.
I also was able to do my job. I want to thank you guys for doing this, and it is working, right? Both my kids love math, so. That document that you, it was really awesome. You guys got very like,
Yeah,
all
click
all
on it
these
so you
guys
can
know
see
how
the
I
real
feel
thing,
about all the
because it's pretty
letters-
impressive.
all the letters together. Yeah, what, is that like a working document? Is that something that you guys kind of refer back to and it's like?
We're learning it, like we haven't shared it with the rest of the staff yet, so, but it's going to be something that Naomi made this, so
Because I'd love to like the interpretation, like to unpack that.
you can just see like that. Do you wanna talk about it? You're it.
I
It's
would
like-
those
it's like
is,
once you get it, you get it.
Never want to see it again, right?
it depends on if you speak standards, but each of those is a standard starting with PK all the way on the left. And then 12 plus on the right, because there's a year beyond Algebra 2, pre-calculus, I think it goes even past that. And, it's got the lines showing you, here's where it comes from, here's where it goes. And I think the most interesting thing about this document was looking at, here's something from 3rd grade that never gets touched in 4th grade, that shows up again in 5th grade. And so it's really just information that came from what the New York State put out as a coherence, but their coherence is blip, 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 blip. So we put this together to say, here's how it moves from grade to grade. And then the other document, you don't really get, can you go back? You don't really get a full picture of that document from this thumbnail. Is that what it is?
Access denied.
However, it's the same, it's the same thing, laid out a different way in spreadsheet format, where that one is more interactive because you can click on the standard to see what it is. And then get a different, like, sort of, how did she do it? Like linear, I didn't do this one, Ashley Emmons did this one.
You can see the continuum across.
Like where it starts on the very left for the younger grades and progresses and gets longer and longer and longer, and then no more at the top, and it's just really feeding down, but still showing all the connections from here to here to here.
And each color goes along with a certain
Standard topic.
Yeah. It's interesting, there is a lot that skips from 3rd grade to 5th grade, or 5th grade to 7th grade, and I'm always
Or
like,
7th grade
to geometry, yeah. Very often I'll be like, didn't you learn this last year? Nope, we didn't hear it since 3rd grade.
Which is why we want that language where we can say something that triggers the memory. It goes, we did learn that. We don't have to relearn that whole thing. And can make our job a little easier, to help their job be a lot easier, because if they can understand it with a less painful road.
Well, and so I have a twin brother, and I would call him a step skipper. My husband was like that too, where they could just, like the A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C.
Transitive.
I had to do all the transit, right? I had to actually do each step of the transit properly. My brother, A equals C. So as somebody who is of the former, I appreciate this, because it's like, it's laying it all out. I feel like you could just like rabbit hole into that and play. If that's at all possible, I'd love to like play with that. Not to like usurp, but just to like learn more, because that's really cool.
I definitely think it's something that should be shared.
And it'll really help the ALTs figure out what the essential standards are, because we teach what we think is really important, but maybe we really need to look at what they need ahead or what they learned before us. So we don't give that time, so this will give us that information.
I work in an industry where consistency in terminology is crucially important. It's just one of those it seems like a simple, obvious thing that will help build on those foundations, and I think it will definitely help our kids, so, good job.
So if I could just jump in to kind of close it, this is really the halfway point for their work. You really saw what they reviewed, what they found, you saw the next steps. So last year, when you had those 3 teams come, they've continued to do the work, and I kind of watched them where they progressed to this year, and it's really remarkable to see where the process started, where they can end up. So I'm excited to see where the math team can go from here, and they've got a lot of things they want to accomplish, but again, it's a small group, and we've got to bring everyone else into the mix. I do also want to point out that all of our renewal teams have administrative facilitation. We tell the administrators, get out of the way. You're not running the show, but you're just there to make sure that the show is going on. So Josh and Kate, I do want to acknowledge, done a great job of keeping this team going throughout the year, but really the brain power comes from the folks that you see at the podium, but I do appreciate the time that Josh and Kate put into that as well.
And I will say, having a math group is a great group to just get out of their way, because they are so task driven and ready to work. And for a guy who hasn't taught math in the district in 19 years, it was very easy to get out of the way and just watch them.
It's
do
a
their work.
math
I've never taught math in the district. Kara always taught math. I always thought you were like.
Yeah, you guys were
so
the
just that,
team.
yeah.
My problem was, I was a math teacher, so I was right there with them.
It is a great group, and we're looking forward to next year and planning. And I think one of the exciting things, and it was kind of alluded to a little bit at the elementary level, is that all of this work that has kind of advanced kind of this conversation at this level is really going to help drive our ALT grade level discussions when we get to math next year. So it's really exciting to kind of see that and know that all of the hard work that they've put into this is really going to benefit the whole district next year. So we're excited. So thank you all.
And we thank you. We appreciate the administration as aligning our math renewal meetings right along with the work that the ALTs are going to be doing, the grade levels, so that we will be there to help them along the way as they're identifying their essential standards and making sure that we ensure that continuity and the consistency with the language, the vocabulary, and the methods that we want them to use. So we appreciate that.
Does that mean they're coming back next year?
No, they're gonna shot.
I'd like to hear, how it went.
Yeah.
like, From those other 3 teams.
Yeah, I'll put it in all of them.
The other half.
Okay.
Next year, you guys.
Yeah.
We'll come back. I'll show you how to use the tape diagrams and stuff.
I'm sure you will.
I'd love to
I'm a
take
bit of a
that.
freak.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Great. So now we have a couple resolutions. And the first is to approve a resolution in appreciation of the service of retirees. And I know our audience is small, but I think it is worth, and we read the resolution at the retiree reception, but I also think it's worth repeating because there's many, many names on this list, and we certainly appreciate it's. If you add it up, it's probably hundreds and hundreds of years of service to the district, so it's worth reading. So the resolution states, in appreciation of services of school district retirees, whereas the staff of the Averill Park Central School District are dedicated and honorable men and women who regularly work to improve the standing of our district, and whereas Olga Ashline, Laura Avery, Kelly Bush, Alicia Flaito, Susan Ford, Janine Gatis, Edward Gray, Tracy Hacker, Linda King, Anne Marie La Liberty, Dawn Lantry, Jennifer Mallory, Gregory Panzanero, Shirley Pascarello, David Puglisi, Susan Raymond, Carolyn Rudd, Wendy Scarce, Christine Sears, Michelle Smead, Lori Taylor, Lori Teal, Kimberly Whalen, and Carol Winkley provided distinguished service to the Averill Park Central School District and its students through hard work and dedication to the district for many years. And whereas these dedicated employees have overseen the many changes that have occurred in the district through the years, and whereas the communities served by the Averill Park Central School District have been enriched by the services of these fine women and men, the services these fine men and women have provided. And whereas these dedicated employees have shown genuine interest in the lives of those with whom they have interacted, befriending them and caring for them with real action. And whereas these dedicated employees always try to make the Averill Park Central School District a better place for all members of the Averill Park Central School District community. And whereas we wish these dedicated employees excitement, excellence, happiness, and prosperity during their retirement. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Averill Park Central School District express its deepest appreciation, whereas Olga Ashline, Laura Avery, Kelly Bush, Alicia Fajito, Susan Ford, Janine Gatus, Edward Gray, Tracy Hacker, Linda King, Anne Marie La Liberty, Dawn Lantry, Jennifer Mallory, Gregory Panzanero, Shirley Pasquarello, David Puglisi, Susan Raymond, Carolyn Rudd, Wendy Scarce, Christine Sears, Michelle Smead, Lori Taylor, Lori Teal, Kimberly Whalen, and Carol Winkley for their significant contributions to the Averill Park Central School District and the community, and extends best wishes for many happy years of retirement. Resolved further that the Board of Education orders this resolution to be presented to those honorees and be included in the minutes of the regular Averill Park Central School District Board of Education meeting for June 12, 2023. Adam makes a motion to approve the resolution. Megan seconds. Any discussion? It's a lot of years of service. We've acknowledged them throughout the year, and I think it's quite amazing, and we do wish them. Yes, amazing group, and we wish them the best, for sure. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Next, we have a couple other resolutions. And I'm going to read those two. They come up on my screen. Oh, yeah. So the first one is a resolution in appreciation of the service of Anne Maroney. Whereas Anne Maroney has served 6 years, 2017 through 2023, as a member of the Averill Park Central School District Board of Education. And whereas Anne Maroney has devoted many hours and continuous effort over those years to provide and improve the educational program for the boys and girls of this school district. And be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education, on behalf of the students, the staff, and district residents, express gratitude to Anne Maroney for her dedicated service and the significant positive impact she has on our school and community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be incorporated as part of the minutes of the June 12th, 2023 meeting, and that a copy of the said resolution be presented to Anne Maroney. Do I have a motion? Doug made a motion. Adam seconds. Discussion? Go.
I would very much like to express my appreciation to Anne for her guidance and her patience and her steadiness over the years that I've had the joy of serving with you. We don't always agree, and that's okay. We take the opportunity to have discourse and discussion, and I have always appreciated the level of respect that you have shown my tendency to erupt emotionally. I will miss serving with you, and I am looking forward to hearing all about all the fun stuff you're doing in your spare time.
Yard work.
Congratulations, and thank you.
Well known for patience.
Jack.
I just wanted to say as well, thank you. It was a pleasure serving with you, and the policy committee will never be the same again. And we actually tried to go through a loophole in leadership this week, like, can we keep Anne, so, you might still have to tell us if there's punctuation issues, but we'll be looking forward to that.
Just use your punctuation.
We work together.
But I appreciate it, so thank you. Thank you for all you do for our students.
And you're just a great role model. You really are. Really, you approach the job with integrity and honesty and stewardship of all the, there's a billion different stakeholders that we have to look out for in this body and in this community. And Anne never forgets any one of them. And that includes us, right? Her colleagues. And I don't know how I'm gonna get on board that anymore. I'm like, am I having a little trouble with this? I desperately miss you being here, and you are just a rock, and I appreciate that so much. Are you stop there?
I had to write some stuff down too. But I also want to acknowledge that Anne is an excellent board colleague. I appreciate her as she does her homework and is always prepared for the meetings. She offers input and suggestions in a respectful and appropriate manner and is thoughtful in all that she brings to the board. All these things she also brings to the committee she participates on, which is many, but I in particular enjoy our lively and constructive sessions when we're working to make sure our board policies are in order and reflect our district and community. Over our time together on the board, I feel like we have gone from friendly to friends, and for that, I'm truly grateful. I really miss our respectful dialogue and your constructive insight, and thank you for all your good work on this. Thank you. So we have a
Copy of it. Thank you, man. Thank you.
My hair.
Oh, definitely.
You don't know it's gonna be this hard.
And she's gonna take part of my hair.
That's right.
Your wife is gonna be like, where'd this come from?
Can I just have that? Just, it keeps closing for me. Oh.
All those in favor?
Oh, yes. I was just gonna say, all those in favor passes, well, one abstention. And so, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next one is a resolution in appreciation of the service of Douglas Kelly. Whereas Douglas Kelly has served 3 years, 2020 through 2023, as a member of the Averill Park Central School District Board of Education, and whereas Douglas Kelly has devoted many hours and continuous effort over those years to provide and improve the educational program for the boys and girls of this school district, and be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education, on behalf of the students, the staff, and the district residents, express gratitude to Douglas Kelly for his dedicated service and the significant positive impact he has on our school community, and be it further resolved that this resolution be incorporated as part of the minutes of the June 12th, 2023 meeting, and that a copy of said resolution be presented to Doug Kelly. Dated this 12th day of June, 2023. Jackie makes a motion, Megan seconds, discussion. Yes, of course.
Doug represents dedication to students and education in its purest form. truly a lifetime of service prior to his service on the board and continuing as we sit here going forward. I have enjoyed serving with you. I would second that we have gone, I think, from friendly to friends. I am gonna miss your thoughtful, deliberate ways, and I wish you all the best. And I bet you're looking forward to being able to sleep at night. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Stay in touch.
Just want to thank you for the wealth of knowledge that you brought into this position, obviously from your history and your past work as a superintendent within the district. You always offered an insight that, you know, the rest of us don't have that luxury. And because of that, your questions were always on point and seeking knowledge that we needed to make better decisions. And I'm always grateful for the input that you had on the committees that you were on. You seemed excited about, especially safety committee. But I think that you picked the committees that were right for you and that served us well. And I believe that you were a great servant for us as well. We appreciate your service.
Having worked with you at different levels, I used to be one of my superintendents when I worked in a different role, and always somebody I looked up to and admired, somebody I learned a lot from. Sometimes in education, there's a lot of language that people might not understand, but God always has a way of breaking it down so other people can actually understand it. He never talks above anybody's head, and I appreciate your, like Anne said, your wealth of knowledge and how much you've brought to this role and how much perspective you provide every day. You are such a great servant to education in general, and you're a glutton. You keep coming back. He's still doing it. But we really appreciate everything. And for me specifically, we've been friends for a long time. I plan to still be, obviously, we'll keep in touch, but it was an honor to serve with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Of course you can.
I just want to say it's been an honor serving on the board. You folks and the policy committee, I don't know how you do it. I don't know the patience that you have for analyzing the wording. I couldn't sit through it, to tell you the truth. So I admire the work that you've done on the board. All of you have done homework that people don't see. And that's something that is very admirable. You've done your homework, you know what the resolutions are all about, you know what the people do. Math, you know what, you knew about that. You know how it works. I don't, because math isn't my thing. But the point is that you really do your homework, and I appreciate it. And I look forward to maybe serving with you again someday. It's been an honor. You know, Averill Park School District, I gotta stop because at home I was told no speeches.
You're not here.
But if it's still light out, it's actually in the pool right now. Averill Park School District is a world-class district. We have excellent administrators, excellent boards. We have a good community to work with that supports us both financially and with our programs. Our graduates, I'll tell you something about a few of our graduates you may not be aware of. In my era, we have produced leaders in all of the fields that have gone into, whether it be artists, auto mechanics, authors, lawyers, engineers, I can go on, high levels in state government. And a few of my friends went to Vietnam and some of them didn't come back. And so they're warriors in every sense of the word. And I'd just like to say I'm really proud of the district. Thank you, all of you, for working with me for
I have, again, a few more things I want to say. No, you can go.
And I would check your.
Yeah, I was just gonna go quick. Can you, yeah. So I won this election and didn't know what I was getting into. And so I studied up as much as I could, so my head was in it. And then Doug reached out to me and said, why don't you come over for some drinks and we'll talk a little bit. And so that got me more into it. And then he sort of guilted me into going to the SSBA convention, which really got my heart into it as well. And that was really important. So I just wanted to thank you for that. That was really helpful for me.
Great.
Go ahead, David.
So everything I'm gonna say is applicable for both Mr. Kelly and Ms. Maroney. And I don't know both of you on the level that the rest of the board members do, but what I will say, and Mr. Kelly touched on this, is the work that you guys do for the most part is very behind the scenes, and maybe the students that I represent are not aware of everything that you guys do. But I feel if they were fully aware of the contributions and the sacrifices and all the time and effort that you guys put into this, they would be incredibly appreciative for the impact that you guys have made. For me, it's noticeable, it's important, and there's nothing that's making you do it. It's fully by your own choice. But it's really fantastic that you guys chose to help the students in this district in the way that you have. And I'm very appreciative, and I think they would be too, if they can see what I see. So thank you, all.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it was well said.
Doug. I'm gonna hold the grudge, so you don't even.
Yeah.
I use the word integrity with Anne, and I mean, I can say that for everybody here in the room, that's how I feel about that particularly. I was talking to Mr. Keelis earlier, and we were talking about the impact that, teachers have, like it's not just the now, it's 5 years, 10 years, 30 years from now. And even if it feels like a glancing influence, it's not. And I can say that, even though I didn't get to go to the house for drinks.
You're
There's
all
time. It's the knowledge that I've gotten from you and the advice that I've gotten from you is, that's core to being able to be like a positive, functional, professional member of this group here. I'm so grateful, and I'm working my way through the love of, just like you said. And so when you say like, oh, I don't have the patience for the policy committee, and yet the lobbying, you can, again, your depth of knowledge, you don't have to sit through the policy committee because it's already in there. So I just appreciate your depth of knowledge and the way that you kind of share advice. That's hands-on, tangible action items that as a board member I can take and be a better board member going forward. And I would hope everybody else will as well. So thanks, Doc.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I have a few words too. You've brought a unique perspective to the board as a retired superintendent yourself. You've always asked good questions that help us make some really constructive changes to the way we operate as a board, and I appreciate that. Also, as the other lifelong member of the Averill Park community, you bring that valuable history to the table, and we share that, which I really feel that connection on that level too. I appreciate that you always brought the committee reports back to the board so we understood what the building committee and safety committee that you participated on, where everyone was at with those. And I personally appreciate the many conversations that you and I have had over these last few years that really helped me grow as a leader and board member. So thank you for that. I will miss your perspective and your wisdom, And thank you for volunteering your time for this board. Appreciate it. Okay, so all those in favor? All right, passes with, Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you for your help too. Thanks very much.
Yeah, one more. This is a resolution in appreciation of the service of David Meridian for a student ex officio board of education member. Whereas David Meridian has served the 2022-2023 school year as a member of the Averill Park Central School District Board of Education as a student ex officio board member. And whereas David Meridian has devoted many hours and continuous effort over the school year to provide and improve the educational program for the students of this district. Whereas David Meridian has served to promote the education of our youth, most notably his leadership as the board ex officio member to provide advice and counsel to our Board of Education and actively engage in our community in the study of methods to improve our district. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education, on behalf of the students, the staff, and the district residents, express gratitude to David Meridian for his dedicated service and the significant positive impact he has had on our school community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be incorporated as part of the minutes of the June 12th, 2023 meeting, and that a copy of this said resolution be presented to David Meridian. Adam and Jackie, discussion. Yes, of course.
I sat in your seat when I was in high school myself, and I love that you're here. And I really have enjoyed your perspective and bringing the student thought to our board, which is why we're here, is for the students, just so to hear from one so eloquently is very much appreciated. Thank you so much for your service.
Dave, I've had people ask me, who's that young guy at the end of the table there that really sounds so logical and straightforward? People in. I mean, I really have had people question, who is that young man and where is he going? What's he going to do? Well, the other night at the awards assembly, I saw pretty much what I thought where you were going, and that is you're going to be a leader in whatever chosen field you pick. And you kind of owned it that night too, by the way. So congratulations. Thank you for serving on the board, and I really appreciate your insights that you've given us. Thank you.
Having the student representative on the board is one of my favorite things that we get to do. We are here for the students, so having the students' perspective is so important. You are no stranger to serving your class. You've been serving your class all the way through. I mean, what was it, like 7th grade? Yeah. It's a little, not even a little, it's a lot special this year, being that I have a graduating senior. So I have, we don't always know the students very well, but I've watched you, grow into a very articulate, confident young man. I know that you're going to do well wherever you go, whatever you do. It has really been a pleasure having you as student representative this year. You bring so much to the table, and really just excited to hear your speech at graduation. Excited to see all of the great things that come for you. Thank you for your service and your time, not even just here, but over the past several years for the class of 2023. You are an exceptional young man. You're going to be doing great things, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm just gonna be repeating what everybody has said, but we did have a conversation just briefly in the cafeteria at the reception, and it's no question that whatever path you choose, you will have success. It's just, it's a feeling, you are exceptional and articulate and all these great adjectives. Math is my thing. Oddly enough, that I'm on the policy committee, but I'm really math. But wow, you just, from the first moment I heard you speak, you floored me. You just, your service to your community in your school district and to the board, your insight, your perspective. It's always wonderful to have it, and I'm so grateful for you and your time that you committed to us as well as the district. So I wish you nothing but good things, and I know they'll come your way. Thank you.
I'm gonna try not to say the same thing. So I'm just thinking back that, throughout the year, it's been an interesting year. It's not always like hunky-dory. And we've had the luck, pleasure, whatever, to have some students come up and speak, as for the public discussion. And I remember, like, David, you connect with them and you listen carefully to what your fellow students are saying, whether they're AP or, we had an Algonquin middle schooler, a couple, what was that the last meeting? But you're listening and you're paying attention and you're incorporating that into your thought process. And not to offend any teenagers, but that might be a little unique in a teenager to kind of put their own stuff aside and tune in on somebody else. Especially a younger student, you're not going to see the kids from Algonquin for a really long time now. But to kind of put your own stuff aside and say, what is the student talking about? What are they need to respond to them? And at other times to speak up for kids who, we've been singing your praises, very, very rightly so. But you yourself have gotten up here and talked about kids who are struggling in a way that you maybe didn't have to. And to see the empathy coming from somebody who could just as well, all's great, doing my best, AP's great, gonna take on the world. And you don't have to be as invested as you are in kids who may not find as much of success as you are. And that is just, again, we're talking about integrity, that characteristic of a leader, of listening to the people around you and incorporating them into that process and making sure that you're looking out for the kids who may be struggling and for people like adults. It's going to stand you in good stead. And I think it's going to, your own resiliency, right? It may not always be, hunky-dory for you. College is hard. Not that you're not going to do amazing things, but it may not be a smooth path, and you're going to be able to take those same characteristics and say, okay, that was enough. What else can I try? What else do I need to do? How can I get through this? And it's hopefully we'll hear about kind of where you're going and how it goes for you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that your colleagues, I don't know if you call them colleagues, your fellow students, incorporate those things about you that are so good that they take that in the way that Doug influences us and Ann influences us, and I hope you're doing that for your classmates because it's unique and it's fantastic and it's what we need in the world. So thanks.
Yeah.
We'll miss you.
For sure, we'll miss you. Yes, and I too appreciate all that you've done for this board. Your contributions have been so valuable in many ways, and you're really a wonderful representative for your school community. You've been able to successfully articulate the way your fellow students are feeling on many levels, and bringing that perspective to the board is, we really appreciate hearing that because we appreciate that you spent the time with us. Not everybody does it, and all that you have really brought to this board table. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favor of approving this resolution passes unanimously. Okay, Dr. Francini.
Congratulations, thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, David. I look forward to handing you the diploma soon.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of appreciation. And our next item on the agenda.
I just think it's nice to have.
I know, this is like one of my favorite meetings of the year.
Collaboration.
The next line is, our public comment for items on the agenda. I do have one blue sheet from Stephen, and it says an appreciation letter. And so instead of waiting to the end of the meeting, I'm gonna, I think it's applicable, and you
Fair
can come up right now.
Leave it there, right, leave it there. I'll come over there. Yeah, I had no idea tonight was an appreciation night for everything, so this just kind of fits. Dr. Francini, District Office Staff, Board of Education. As a CSD president, I wanted to thank you all for the support this year. I've had the pleasure of speaking with some of the principals and department supervisors regarding questions they had on contract and offering my perspective on the matter. Occasionally, the matter reached Dr. Francini's desk, and he was willing to sit down with my officers and/or myself to listen to our concerns, perspective, and then he would make it his decision. I just wanted the board to know what a positive experience it was this year being president of one of the labor unions in Averill Park. Dr. Francini and the staff have been working hard to make interactions between us a positive one. I hope the upcoming year we can continue to work together and make Averill Park a great place to work. On a side note, thank you, Dr. Francini, for teaching us how to snooze our emails. I know there are two board members, Doug and Ann, who will not be with us next year. I wish you both luck in all your future endeavors, and the new incoming board members are as supportive as you all have been.
Thank you, Stephen. You don't know how much this means to this board that you came and spoke. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I did it last year and I got a good thing. I'm like, this needs to continue.
And we appreciate you very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now actually on to the harder work. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the May 8th, 2023 meeting. Megan makes a motion and seconds discussion.
Since I wasn't here, I'm gonna abstain, but nobody take it personally.
Yeah, me too, because I wasn't here. So, okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, passes, thank you. The item number 8, I'll ask you to approve items number 8, 9, and 10, the consent agendas for business, personnel, and special education recommendations. Ann makes a motion, Megan seconds, discussion.
May I?
Yes.
I wanted to acknowledge the donation from the Averill Park Education Foundation with the correction, but also from Pioneer for the Odyssey of the Mind team. Really is helpful when organizations in the community, make donations to help our students, and we appreciate that.
For sure.
So in part of this consent agenda is, has summer appointment stuff, summer, we all sort of go off and do our summer things. And there's a whole lot of activity and learning and growing that happens over the summer. And I just want to give my appreciation to the staff that stick around to make that a success. I think that it speaks well of the district that it's There was a time when, summer school was sort of frowned upon, and I don't think that that's the case here. It's, I just want to give my thanks to the folks for making that as, a positive to speak. And, a little shout out to the pre-algebra summer bridge folks too, because that's where I'll be.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge, we did have 2 retirements that this is the first time they're showing up on our agenda, even though we did honor them at the reception, is Alicia Ferrito and Janine Gatus. Together, they're 55 years. So we wish them well in their retirement.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Jim, are we continuing any of the food distribution programs over the summer, like the backpack program, or similar programs for students?
That is a good question. This year, I believe, is the first year that we're going to be doing that, right? We just started putting that together. We have some folks working on that. We have not always done it in the past. I think historically what we have done is provide information, like in the backpacks of those folks about local food pantry options. But this year, we're actually putting together a plan to have volunteers come and distribute some of the food. Kind of a little bit of the model of COVID a little bit, with have the food here and be able to give it out. So I'm not sure how far along we're at this point, but we are in the process of doing that.
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
Any other discussion? Great question. Okay, stupid. All those, we'll call it to vote. All those in favor? Thank you, passes unanimously. We have lots of action items and resolutions tonight, so. But- Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Speak up, will you?
Absolutely. We just want to thank Rachel, was on your consent agenda, will be joining us next year, and our new teacher here at high school for chemistry and physics. And we're excited to get her, as you can imagine. That is a tough hire, a special skill set, and we appreciate her not only joining us, but joining us tonight and sitting through maybe longer than expected. So thank you for being here.
That's right.
And congratulations.
I was gonna say something too about that, because I know that, there was concern about, and then that concern was followed by excitement to have you, so.
Absolutely.
And I was gonna say something, and that's not like me not to say something. So, welcome.
Yes.
Don't feel like you need to stay for the.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
I've appreciated getting to hear the different, I don't know any of you really yet, but I've gotten to meet you through your stories, and I've appreciated getting to see all that tonight, so thank you.
No, thank you.
Hopefully, it's going to be too much longer for you.
All right, thank you. Sorry. All right, action items. Ready? Go. Adam's ready, okay. Action item, to approve the school district legal counsel agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the Honeywell law firm. Adam makes a motion and seconds discussion. Yes.
I'll just be quick, because it's a long love fest going on. I just want to say, Jeff Honeywell, and we've only really interacted with him personally, but I know you, Dr. Pritchie, deal with the whole group there. He is amazing. He's always there answering questions, and it seems like he's only the attorney for our district, it feels like, when he's here, because he knows our district, he knows it well. He's always there for us when we need him. He's just fantastic, and I'm so grateful to have him. Thank you.
I agree with you, and other districts I know feel the same way, and his law firm is expanding, by the way. He's just hired on an attorney that I know from years ago, and who's an excellent attorney, so that his services will be magnified into the future.
Great. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Next one is to approve the agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and Douglas Kramer regarding employment. Megan makes motion and seconds. Discussion. Thank you for your work on this. Team over there. All those in favor? It passes unanimously. The next one is to approve the agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the Center for Disability Service Incorporated, DBA Langen School. Megan makes motion, Adam seconds. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next one is to approve the agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the Andrews Children's Center for Educational Services and Maintenance and Residential Services for the remainder of the 22-23 school year. Megan makes motion, Adam seconds. Discussion. Thank you for all your work on this. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Right. And the next one is to approve the agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the Andrews Children's Center for Educational Service and Maintenance and Residential Services for the 23-24 school year. Adam and discussion. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next one is to approve independent contractor agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the transition coordinator, Lori Dunnigan. Jackie makes motion, Megan seconds. Discussion. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Next one is to approve the memorandum of agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and APTA regarding extracurricular activities. Megan makes motion and seconds. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next one is to approve, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the terms and conditions agreements dated June 12, 2023 for Matt Hadlin, Assistant Superintendent, and Kimberly Nugent, Director of Personnel Development, are hereby approved, and the President of the Board of Education is authorized to execute each agreement on behalf of the school district. Well, they all make a motion. How do I choose? We'll say Doug and Jackie. I am happy that we're here. Thank you both for all your work.
I think you can came in at the same time, it seems like Dr. Franchini and then Matt and then Kim. And I've seen you grow in your positions, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to work with you, so thank you.
Just saying, I think all of us throwing up our hands at the same time speaks volumes. So thank you guys.
Okay, now comes the moment of truth. No.
Actually, yeah, stand by.
All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the next one is to approve change orders for the Phase 2 plumbing contract in the amount of $16,655 and change orders for the Phase 1A plumbing contract in the amount of negative $8,989.69. Megan makes motion and seconds. Discussion?
I just would like to say how satisfying it is to see some of this work finally getting underway and getting done. The capital project was what felt like the longest buildup in eternity. It was very frustrating for me. So I am, while this, 2 sentences feels like nothing, it is representative of progress, and I am just so pleased that we are making some, so thank you.
All right. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And the last action item is to approve the following adjustments to the unassigned fund balance to be made no later than June 30th, 2023. Megan and Ann seconds, discussion. Thank you, Carrie, for all your good work in this. Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Now, we have several resolutions.
It is.
This one I think is the hardest one. This is, I need a motion to approve the resolution that commits to compliance with the requirements of Regulation Part 123, eliminating all use of indigenous names, mascots, and logos by the end of the 2024-2025 school year, and directs the superintendent to form a committee that will lead compliance with Regulation Part 123 by specifically identifying a plan to eliminate all use of such items no later than June 30th, 2025, including the cost associated with such elimination. The committee shall meet as soon as possible to identify all areas addressed by the regulation and develop a plan and timeline for compliance, which shall be forwarded to the Board of Education for its consideration as per the attached resolution, which it's attached, so I'm not going to read it. It just basically says the same thing that's in that. Adam makes a motion, Samantha seconds. Discussion?
Jim, who will compose the committee? What elements of both the school and community?
To be honest, we have not gone very far with that at this point. I think initial timeline in my mind would be next year to have the committee in action. We know that we want it to be student-led and have a lot of student involvement. We're going to talk to Heath about using some of the groups here at the high school to help lead that work and getting information and input from not just our students at the high school, but K-12 as well as the community at large. Terry's been working to put a cost associated. We're getting closer on that, so I have a better idea of what it's going to cost us to do it. Get the group up and running next year with a hope of having a name picked by this time next year, so we have it perhaps even earlier, so we can begin the ordering and all stuff's going to take place to make sure we're complying with it. So once we go through this, we'll kind of jump on it. I think come up with something over the summer and be able to hit the ground running in the fall.
I think there's a misunderstanding by some members of the community that how they don't have a vote on it. And as I was standing in the line at Hannaford to check out,
It started happening.
asked me that question, and I had to quickly explain, what we can vote on as a public and what we can't vote on as a public. But I think the sooner the better would be to clear up that understanding, and maybe the creation of that committee would help that. I'm not sure if you included some of the community members that would have a say.
We do have a statement ready to go for tomorrow in anticipation of this being approved. That will be released. So,
thank you.
And to be clear, for our viewers at home primarily, I'm not in favor of getting rid of the Warriors name, but I'm far less in favor of losing our state funding. Like, we just can't afford it. So it's not really a choice. It's the far lesser of two evils. And it's two crummy choices, but that's where we are.
Agreed.
Well put.
Yep, and for the record, the school board did advocate to keep the name. We sent a letter to the commissioner and as well as a video with our plea to keep the Warrior name, and obviously that was unsuccessful. So here we are. But Adam said it well.
You're in the midst of this, what is a frustrating situation for everybody. The one thing that sort of gives me confidence or whatever is, again, like I go back to that integrity of, even the kids who came up and spoke were able to talk about the characteristics behind the name, and I trust that any committee is gonna incorporate that 110% into whatever work they do going forward. Those characteristics of what it means to be a warrior and stewardship of classmates and taxpayer money and the community and, you know, rigorous education and forthrightness and, you know, it's a stinky situation in a lot of ways, but if anybody can kind of get us out of this, it's this group of people I think we're gonna put together, so.
Can I ask, and it's somewhat a rhetorical question, are they actually gonna give some complete and understandable guidance for the committee to follow? Or is there gonna be additional 100 pages of nothing word speak in circles like they always do?
Yeah.
I hate to suck the love out of the room, but.
At this time, we're not expecting any new guidance, so they've given us some information, but there's not a lot in terms of the process going forward. We have a timeline.
Well, and just so that the community understands that they passed the regulation and are essentially requiring us to do a resolution and vote on it when we don't actually have an option but to pass the resolution. It does not make sense that they would make boards get up here and pass something that is a law. It is not something that we have the power to vote against. It is a regulation that is, in my opinion, hollow. It does absolutely nothing to address the inequities, to address the history that should be being taught. I plan to abstain because the regulation does not allow me to vote no. So I will abstain from the vote on principle.
Any further discussion?
It's a thought, isn't it?
I don't want to be that much of a trendsetter, Doug. Don't do it to me.
I mean, and just like, I suppose one could argue that we do have a choice, right? We have a choice to vote it down and with the potential of $27 million being closer to $30 million being withheld from the district, which is would hobble all this wonderful stuff that we just got up and talked about what we are, you know, able to accomplish in this world-class district, we would not be able to accomplish. And, you know, it's, the choice is, you know, every student, every day, and that requires money, can't pay for it, you know, so, so there's a choice, it's not a great choice.
Thank you, Sam, that was well stated. Okay.
I can raise the regulation.
What's that?
You want the line, but the FAQ.
Oh, the FAQ.
Yeah, it's the FAQ that came with guidance, is whether or not you can appeal the prohibition against, using team name logos and mascots in my district. The second paragraph says, if a school district does not comply with this regulation, the department may take several actions as prescribed under the education law, including but not limited to the removal of school officers or as a last resort withholding of state aid pursuant to education law 306.
So they don't say how much they're going to penalize or who they might remove. So have them remove me.
I volunteer.
There you go.
Me too.
All right, thank you for being there, and thank you, Samantha. Says it, yeah.
Let me say one more thing. And I trust that if this is not the last that we've heard of this, if there's some sort of litigation or whatever from an entity other than us. Because again, I don't want to spend much money to try to navigate something that feels like a brick wall at this point is either. But Jim, team will keep us posted on any relevant kind of news surrounding this from other potential.
Any further discussion? Okay, All those in favor? You have that, Linda? Yep. Opposed? None. Abstentions? Negative. Okay. Thank you all. Tough decision. All right, the next resolution is to approve the resolution giving the superintendent the authority to adopt or amend any regulations associated with approved or amended board policies. This resolution shall be effective for all policies and regulations now in effect or any future adoption or amendments of board policies. Megan makes a motion, Adam seconds, discussion.
This is something that I feel should kind of be a foregone conclusion. I think if anybody can be trusted, it'd be Jim. So happy to vote for this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, and just for the benefit of folks who may not, so there's policies and resolutions, and policies, right, is the bigger picture, and then the resolutions.
Regulations.
These are resolutions. The regulations are that is the more minutia, the daily operation, the implementation of the policies that we.
Right, exactly.
And that is, Jim and team, that is their purview, so this sounds like it's the same word, it's not quite.
And there's a little bit of backstory, just to make sure for people know. Regulation, and he said this too, not need board approval, but when we look through and somebody updating, as Kim was doing it with Linda, we realized some of them were approved at one point in the past, throughout the, next number of years. So the only way to rescind that is to have board action on it. So that mistake, if you want to call it that, was made at some point. So instead of trying to go through and recreate or figure it out, we talked to Jeff, we said, we know the deal, but we may have to go either way out of this. He said, well, you can just do a resolution that will just kind of clear up the past and save it for the future, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's really just kind of more of a bookkeeping process.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Passes unanimously, thank you. Next is to approve to accept the results of the May 16th, 2023 vote for the budget, bus and equipment purchase, capital reserve fund, and 2 Board of Education member seats as per the results that were attached in board docs. Ann makes the motion, Megan seconds, discussion. I just want to thank the community for their overwhelming support.
I also wanted to thank the members of the community that came out and voted. I would like to welcome our 2 new members to the board and looking forward to serving with them, Jessica and Michelle. I hope that I don't get on your nerves.
I'm just gonna thank the community for coming out, for voting for our budget. It feels like a lot of money sometimes, especially right now. And so the appreciation is big. And it makes a difference. This is what we're doing to support all these kids, and so it makes a difference.
Like 2-1 vote is nothing.
And again, from 2.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. The next is to approve to authorize to the school district to acquire school buses and utility vehicles at a cost not to exceed $1,168,822 and to issue its general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $1,126,072, thank you, pursuant to the local finance law of New York in order to finance the class of objects or for purposes described herein as attached in board docs. Adam makes the motion, Megan seconds, discussion.
I was just talking to a district today that is already going down the road with zero emissions buses. They're buying a number of them, probably close to $1 million of zero emission buses. And they've also acquired a grant loan from the state for the infrastructure. So I know school districts our size and smaller are starting to go down that road already.
I'm gonna be pushing that next year. At least get them to try.
No pun- no
Hang
pun
out with
intended.
them a little bit. See how it goes.
Yeah, it'll be coming. We need to sort of get ready.
We've been working on that. Carrie and Mark Green have been attending webinars and
Excellent.
presentations and getting background information. We kind of decided let some folks go first, but we're ready to go.
Good.
And we'll strike these second two. Word number 4, I think, is too many twos.
What? Oh, yeah.
D. So there's an extra 2 in there.
That's what gave me pause when I was reading it.
We didn't run this by the policy committee.
I was gonna say.
That would have been caught, but.
All right. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. The next is approve to authorize the district to establish a capital reserve fund pursuant to Education Law 3651, parentheses 1, in an amount not to exceed $10 million for the purpose of financing the purchase of and general improvement, reconstruction, renovations, or additions to the district's buildings, including the acquisition of sites, lands, and/or buildings, site work, and the acquisition of original furnishings, equipment, machinery, acquisition and installation of technology equipment, or other apparatus required for the purpose for which such buildings are to be used. The probable duration of the capital reserve fund is 10 years. Megan makes a motion and seconds. Discussion.
I know there's not a floor or a maximum for what can be contributed to that fund each budget year. What's your philosophy about how that might vary from year to year?
It's a good question. I think, do you want to start, Carrie?
No switch, you're on.
Oh, done. So I don't have a specific philosophy that when we, as we explained, when we presented the capital reserve, it's not something that we budget for within the budget. So it's not money that's set aside, like we're planning on having X money left over to fund the capital reserve. It really depends on how the school year goes. And then we look to see how much is left over and any other reserves that come up. 2 years ago was property loss reserve, last year was an insurance reserve that took priority. So it's going to depend on what's coming on in the district at that particular year in terms of what gets funded.
Thank you.
I just would like to thank Carrie for bringing this forward. And, as a board, we can only, act on things that we're presented with. So that is sometimes half the battle. If it doesn't come before us, we can't act. As a community member, I'm grateful for the opportunity for this measure because it will help in situations like, a couple of summers ago when we got 4.5 inches of rain in 30 minutes and there was damage there and sometimes not all that money goes out or, we might need to have this, and I am appreciative for the opportunity to have been able to put it forth in the community, and I'm really glad that the community understood the logic and the merit in having it. So this is one of those happy moments that we get to do as part of this, so thank you.
Well, and to your point earlier, Megan, the process for these capital projects is so long, right? This is the first step in the start of the next one, which we need to start once the building condition survey, the one that's mandated every 5 years. Once we get that back, we're gonna have to start really focusing on the next project, right? Because of the length of time it takes to vet all this out, present something to the voters, get it approved, and then the lead time to get the work going. So we're trying to get in a cycle, and this will certainly help, if we put some money there to keep the cost down for our taxpayers.
I just had a quick question. I feel like I didn't see the 10 years somehow that went over my head before. And it's, the fact is the probable duration is 10 years. So that means it's not necessarily like binding doesn't have to, whatever money's going to have to be spent down by 10 years. It's, you have the discretion to, or does 10 years elapse and we vote in a new capital, or is this something that exists?
Well, 10 years is the amount of time that you can contribute to it. So after 10 years, I can no longer fund it, but it doesn't have to come off the books if we haven't spent it, so.
And then we would vote for a new one if we needed a new.
Yeah, you can have multiple capital reserves depending on what you're saving for.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next is to approve to accept the contract for cooperative educational services agreement by and between the Averill Park Central School District and the Board of Cooperative Education Services, Rensselaer, Columbia, Greene Counties, Questar 3. Ann makes a motion, Doug seconds, discussion. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number G, approve to accept the financial risk assessment report dated May 29th, 2023, and to approve the district's corrective action plan per the attached. That was in our agenda. Adam makes the motion, Megan seconds, discussion.
So the audit committee met, I think it was last week,
31st.
recently. And, you know, we pay auditors to make sure we're doing our job, right? You pay a third party who has no interest to come in and take a look at stuff and say, are you really doing what you say you do? That's what auditing is really. Michael Wolf does a really good job in looking at the right stuff and testing the right stuff and providing a really good report that's not with too much detail, but it's just written at the right level. So these auditors are really good, and our audit report was really, really clean, which is just how we like them. So I just wanted to thank Carrie and the rest of the team for doing what we say we're going to do, even when somebody else is watching.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Approved to accept the payroll audit report dated May 30th, 2023, and to approve the district's corrective action plan as per the attached. Megan makes motion, Adam seconds, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next is to approve the change order approval procedure for capital projects as per the attached. Which we all read through.
I got tired.
Megan makes a motion and second.
Where am I?
Any discussion? I think this is a nice thing for the board to have. So thank you. All right, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. The last resolution we have is to approve to accept the quote from AFSCO Fence Company for additional softball field fence at the Averill Park High School for the total of $10,700. Jackie makes a motion and seconds, discussion. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Okay, now we have some fun stuff, policy items. All right, the first policy we're going to talk about tonight is policy 4765, online distance and remote learning, the first reading. Oh yeah, so it's first reading, so I don't know
if we should have to approve, but maybe we'll get there tonight. Is this where we can make a motion to?
Yeah.
It is.
I make a motion to
Approve it.
approve and waive the first reading.
Give it a second.
Wait a
reading.
second.
Wait a
Waive the
second
second
reading and approve it as it is now. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for making that motion.
Is that for all of it?
Can I
No.
second that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just we're on board, you know, like, all of them.
I didn't hear it was for all of them. I heard it was for 4765.
Right.
I'll second that.
You'll second that motion? Okay, so discussion, there's a motion on the table to skip the second reading and approve the policy 4765 as it is. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? The motion passes to approve it. The second policy is policy 4321.5, confidentiality and access to individualized education programs, individualized education service programs, and service plans. Be the first reading of this policy. Megan, what are you
I would
doing?
like- Well, I wanted to make a motion to waive, so we could just pass it. Waive the second reading and pass it as written. Under the fact that there's like an entire handbook that relates to this regulation. And so because it is required and there's specific wording for all of it, let's just go. We're gonna pass this one.
Can I second that motion?
Yes,
Today,
you can.
second reading?
Yes, you may.
Consider that done.
So there's a motion on the table to approve 4321.5. Discussion? All those in favor? Passes. Thank you. The next policy we're reviewing is 5151, homeless children. First reading. And
I make a motion to waive the second reading and pass as written.
okay, thank you, Ann.
I'll second.
Oh. I'm like, yes.
Jackie, second.
Jackie's like, okay, so who seconded it? Sam seconded that
I'll
one.
second. You can finish one.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes,
Yes, so I got a little lost in this one.
okay.
And with most policies or agreements or anything, I try to sort of figure out what's the spirit of this, and then does the letter follow the spirit? And I honestly couldn't figure out the spirit of this. Maybe it's just too foreign to me or something, but one of the places I got caught up is it talks about the school of origin, which essentially, there were, I think, 4 different choices, but it's like the school you last attended or the school you are attending. And looking through the policy, I'm curious as to if some student was attending our district and then through some sort of set of circumstances moved downstate and became homeless, would we then be obligated to transport this student back to this district, to our district? I couldn't figure out if the policy obligated us in that way or not, so I wanted to ask about that scenario.
I think the law obligates us to do that, and our policy reflects the educational law.
So that was the Kenny Vento.
Yeah.
Yeah, McKinney-Vento Act.
I can, I don't think that by the time that the policies get to the board docs that they have the notes on them, but we have the notes that usually explain why they're doing it or why they're changing the wording. And the note on this says the language is included to clarify the participation of homeless students in summer school programs. McKinney-Vento requires the districts ensure homeless children eligible for McKinney-Vento services do not face barriers accessing academic and extracurricular activities, including summer school. Throughout this policy and regulation, we have also replaced shall with will, must, or is directed to, and replaced gendered language with gender neutral language. And then it further indicates that it reflects state laws and regulations conforming to the federal Every Student Succeeds Act. So it does give us the reasoning behind why we were presented with this. Sometimes it's just a matter of change, like it's a general, gender neutral language or something like that. But, so we kind of have that insight when we're looking at it. We don't have to try to figure out what is the, what did you say, the spirit of it. Yeah, so, we kind of have that little, that little edge there. But if you want, there's several notes on this, and if you want to, they bring attention to, the term school of origin, while New York State law and regulations use the term district of origin and district of current location, as well as school of origin. While there's no difference in the end result, i.e. that homeless children may attend either the school they attended when they became homeless, or the school they last attended, or the school they may attend due to their current location, we are choosing to conform more closely to the federal definitions. Use of terms district of origin and district of current locations is mostly relevant for districts of current location that seek tuition reimbursement from SED. So again, they're saying that when you talk about the district of origin or location, it's whether or not, and this is my understanding, whether or not we get reimbursed for it. Yes?
Or the other district does.
Or the other district does, right. Is that how it works?
It would show up, but the
What I
language
heard
was,
was, it's not so much the policy as the law.
Exactly.
yeah. That's the short of the long of it.
Yeah, I mean, and if I was trying to nail down the spirit of it is to kind of define the relationships with districts, what they are supposed to do per law, but that also to sort of remove barriers so that if a family, if a student does become unhoused or homeless, that they have options. It removes a barrier of another hoop to jump through if they want to stay in school, which is what we want. It gives options for a family to be able to smooth that process to the extent that they can, and then helps the district get reimbursed or get supported in helping that student with the continuity.
And the language is difficult to read. I mean, we've struggled with it as a committee to make sure it's in yours. Yeah, it's the law, but we made sure we read it so we could understand it and follow along that whole of origin. Yeah. It was, that's a good question. It's like
Fine.
lawyers speak.
Well, I read a lot of contracts, but not like this.
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. So any further discussion, because we still have a motion on the table to waive the second reading and approve this one as is. Okay, then I will call it to a vote. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. The next policy to review is 6700 for purchasing. Yes, Adam.
I make a motion to waive the second reading and accept the policy as written.
Okay, and Jackie seconds the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's approved also, thank you. The next policy is 8130, school safety plans and teams. First reading for this one.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading and accept this policy as written.
Okay. Jackie seconds the motion. Discussion? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. The next policy is 4327, homebound instruction, and this is the second reading of this one.
Well, wait, I have a question.
Yeah, we can discuss
We can
it
discuss,
because we're
I'm
talking.
not sure what motion I'm making. so
There's no,
I'll-
there's, there,
Discussion.
yeah, this is just policy readings, and if we end up with a motion to approve it, we can, but we can discuss it before a motion.
Okay, so my question is there a regulation, this is not tied to a regulation, but is there a regulation that should be referenced? Is there a regulation associated with this?
Do you remember, Kim, if there's a regulation on this?
I don't think
It's a
we
notice,
got,
would it have a
I
regulation?
don't think we got one from NISBA, so.
Well, it references 8 NYCRR. I guess I'm just not sure if this should be marked as required, is my question.
Okay, so there is a regulation that goes.
So that's why my question was, should this be marked as an R, as required?
Versus a
Required
notice.
versus a notice, because it's tied to a regulation, so should it be a required versus, am I misunderstanding?
Well, no, because it's not, I don't think there's, I think that it's not straightforward when they're required, when they're local. I mean,
Currently,
it's, yeah, this is a notice, and so often it's,
There's actually not many policies that are actually required. So this is not a required one. It's one that we obviously like to have on books. They didn't send us a regulation, so we'd have to double check our current regulation and just update it, you know, with the revisions to the, because this one does have some revisions as to time that's required, if you recall. So we would have to go back, and I can start working on that tomorrow, is making sure the regulation we have lines up with the new language.
okay.
You mean new language since the last time that we?
No, new language from when policy committee received it from this book.
So are we, well, but no, are we saying that, are we at a point where we want to have a third reading? Or are
It's
we-
about the regulations.
Oh, right,
She's
right,
talking
right.
about the regulation.
So even if I'm
Did
on the
that answer
policy.
your question, Megan?
I think so,
Okay. I know, it's, those boxes at the top can be a little bit confusing, but as.
I'll
Kim
make a
said-
motion to pass it as written, to waive the third reading and pass it as written.
Okay,
Honestly, I give them the same
Adam,
attention no matter
you
what
second
it
the
says at
motion.
the top.
what's that?
I give them the same attention no
Oh,
matter
of
what it
course,
says
of
at the
course.
top, so.
Okay, so Megan made a motion, Adam second, to approve it as is. Any further discussion? All those in favor? The policy committee thanks you. We thank you. So, yeah, so quarterly we get updates from NISBA, our policy update service that we have with them. And we also are still working our way through the policy. So we got these updates in April, and we read, the policy committee reviewed them, and that's why they brought them here. We are actually now done with the 5,000 series, which is good progress, and we will be starting totally on the 6,000 series once we have our new board members in place. What do you?
Board knows that there's a 0,000, so it's actually your 6/9 the way down.
Yes, that's
Get
true.
to 0,000.
That's right.
Six ninths instead of 2.
Or 6/9 instead of.
Oh, yeah. But actually, yes, but the policy committee is still working on adding one more 5406, a new policy. But, so we're working on that, but that's,
That went to NISBA today with the edits.
okay, yeah. So we had some edits, and we have to run everything by NISBA because they're the ones who make sure it's good with the law. All right, so we are making progress, and we appreciate your support, the entire board's support of the policy committee. All right. Next item is public comment. Seeing no public. David's like, let's just go home. Okay. Board member reports. David, do you want to start us off?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, a couple things I want to touch on with this being my last meeting, but first and foremost, I want to thank everyone here for prioritizing this role and allowing me to sit at all these meetings. I think we all agree that it's incredibly important for a student to be present at the board meetings and I hope it's paid some fruition this year. I hope to see this role continue to exist in years to come by, because I think it matters. This has to shift now. This has been an interesting week for my class and even the weeks before, because the interesting kind of paradox is I think as a class, we're closer now than ever before because we have all these events. We had a great breakfast this morning, thanks to Mr. Rossi and Ms. McGarry for all the help, and other parents as well. It was really a great time at Butler Park. And that's just one of the many we had our walkthrough. And so we're so close, and yet we're graduating next week. So it's certainly a lot of strange emotions for a big part of our students. But I think today with our walkthrough, we were able to remember some of what we loved about this district, and maybe some things we took for granted that you don't notice when you're in elementary school. But going back, we had things we were appreciative of, and I think that was important to see. And another thing, just sitting in the cafeteria, and you hear some of the teachers that have retired, spending 30, almost 40 years with this district in their career's entirety. That's pretty cool. And then they wouldn't want to stay here. I know maybe they would, but I wouldn't want to stay at a district I didn't like. 40 years almost, that would be pretty crazy. So there's certainly things that I see just today that make me feel really good about our district. But we're not done yet as a class. We still have our picnic tomorrow. We have our dinner dance on Friday, and then obviously graduation next Thursday. But for the positives I've outlined, I just want to thank you all once again. A lot of great things to happen, that have happened, and that will be happening. And I hope to see this role continue. So thank you.
Thank you.
I don't like that I'm losing my rookie advantage position first. But I'll just bring my comments down to thanking David and Doug and Ann for all that they've done. I was going to say somewhat a thankless job, but here I am thanking you for certainly the compensation's not very good. So, but I just want to thank you. Everything else I think has been said already, so I'll stop.
Very great.
I too just wanted to thank Doug and David again. Congrats to our retirees and tenure. Such a great celebration tonight, and I don't want to say much, but I'm really looking forward to all the senior festivities. I have a senior, super emotional. Even though it's my second time around, it's still just as emotional, and it's exciting, and yeah, I'm looking forward to all the same things David is. I'll be just watching from the sidelines, so I'm just so proud of all our kids.
I think I've said a lot already tonight, but I just wanted to wrap up by saying it's been a pleasure working with all of you. You're all professionals, you're all deep thinkers, you're all people that get things done. Thank you very much for all of you being here.
All right, well, don't shoot me. I have a little bit more to say than that. I want to thank the district for all of the different things that they do in an effort to recognize our seniors. I have a senior, she's my first one, she's my only girl. I'm holding it together today, but not every day. And I think it's really great. I came from a larger district. We didn't have these different ways that we were recognized really in any way. So I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to the additional senior events that come up. I'm appreciative for how classy a lot of our students are. They say thank you, when it's not, when it's called for, and they speak up when it's called for, and really impressed by a lot of our students. In the interest of recognition, and because this is always my favorite meeting because it's so full of recognition and love, I would like to recognize some of our seniors who maybe haven't gotten a shout out yet this year. I'd like to shout out our student athletes who will be playing Division III sports at their respective colleges. Emma Dio, Gianna Gerasi, Emily Prest, Elizabeth Iosa, Marissa and Kim Mazzacco, Hannah Caldwell, Matthew DiGiulio, Gwen Jameson, Riley O'Brien, Bailey Lang, Brady Mazzio, McKenna Carter, and I believe Avery Pacusi, if I'm saying Pascucci. Congratulations on your achievements. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. I also wanted to recognize our art students and our theater students who had the Senior Arts Gala on Friday, June 2nd. If anybody has the opportunity to walk the halls or come into LGI or see any of their amazing artwork, and just a little shameless because I love all the students, but I love mine the most. I want to recognize the seniors graduating from OVP, my daughter Ashley McGarry, Cooper Smith, Katie Palmer, Max Miller, Gio Dooley, Justin Zimmer, Victoria Whitney, Percy Denley, Luca Cropsey, Natalie LaFrancois, and Tim Desmond. You have made us laugh. You have made us cry. You have been an inspiration, and you're off to amazing things. So congratulations to all of these seniors. You are special and exceptional, and we are so proud of you.
Oh, Mario. Well, first I want to congratulate once again the retirees and the 10-year recipients. It is a meeting of a love fest. It's great to see the culmination of all that. And my sincerest congratulations to the class of 2023. And I am somewhat of a graduate this month myself. 6 years ago, some friends who knew me better than I knew myself cajoled me into running for school board. Like most parents and community members, I had little if no knowledge of what the school board is. Many believe they run the school and have ultimate and final authority on how the district is run. Thankfully, that is not true. We do, however, hire and evaluate the expert, the superintendent, who then hires more experts and oversees every aspect of the district. Like the young men and women about to graduate, I had to read a lot, study, ask questions to gain knowledge, but mostly keep an open mind. There is a reason there are 7 of us. We all bring different perspectives and histories to the table. I think that is the most important takeaway. Countless times, I thought I knew my exact position on many matters only until I heard from fellow board members, administration, and community members. It's so important to remember that yes, while we are a group of individuals, more importantly, we are a cohesive unit with one common goal, the education and well-being of our students and district community. It's not to say there weren't some bumps along the way. School board service requires time, commitment, and an open mind to dialogue, but it doesn't hold a candle to what the folks that show up every day do. While reflecting on these last 6 years of service, my most pervasive notion is the dedication and expertise of the administration, faculty, staff, and volunteer board. They work tirelessly all year long, not just September to June, to bring the highest quality educational experience that we can afford. In particular, I'm grateful to Dr. Franchini for his leadership and steadfastness, without which we would not have the strength and resilience to weather the storms that inevitably come our way. To say that I'm proud to have been part of this group is an understatement. I will deeply miss this group, and especially the committees I've served with, policy, facilities, and audit. As my term winds down, I can easily see myself coming back one day to do it again. My only regret is that my friends did not ask me sooner. It's not goodbye, it's farewell for now.
Thank you, Anne.
Exhibit A. it next, I can't really follow that. And that, I mean, that's who you are right there, and that's part of why it's been so great for you. I had some other stuff, I'm not gonna say this. I'm just gonna say congratulations to the graduating class, congratulations to the 8th graders, heading up to AP, congratulations to the 5th graders, heading up to Algonquin, and the kindergartners, riding around in their little buses. Little kindergartners, big buses. The 3 of you guys, I'm not the teacher, but I'm gonna give you guys an assignment. David's got a week and a half. Go find some juniors to follow in your footsteps. Succession plans are crucial. So, spread the word about what a positive experience it was for you and how much we loved you. And find us somebody, not just like you, everyone's unique, but go find the next one. Bring them on top of it. And go out in the community and find us, there's no replacements, but go talk it up. You can't ever be replaced by,
We're just come back.
you can't ever be replaced by, but everything you just said, and is why we're here. And Doug knows everybody, so go tell everybody. But I mean, really, I know nobody, and Doug knows everybody. So, it really is. It's an honor. I'm proud of you.
Yep, can't follow Ann. That was much appreciated. Thank you, and well said. I just wanted to take a minute to thank the whole district for a successful year. I'm really looking forward to graduation next week, and thank you, and Doug and David, for your time on the board. And I think everyone said it all. So with that, Megan makes a motion to adjourn the meeting, and Adam seconds. All those in favor? Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah, that was all.